live.
Good evening.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm all right.
So
had to have me a cup of coffee this afternoon to keep my ass from dragging too hard, but it's working.
yeah, well,
I won't sleep for nothing, but hey, sacrifice.
there's ways, sacrifices. That's right.
There you go.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
And I'm sure. So I really feel like with what we're going to talk about tonight, there's going to be a lot that appreciate it because, like you and I, we look at a lot of the groups and we see a lot of the hocus pocus that people try on their birds.
Yeah.
And some of it, I'm just like, there is a whole new there's a different way that you could do that that's going to make your bird, it's going to work, and it's going to make your bird not shorten their lifespan as much.
Well, okay. So like we were talking about before the show, it is not the Walmart special, right? So it doesn't have the same level of convenience that everyone wants, but some of the stuff we're going to talk about tonight's being used since before antibiotics and before commercial wormers and all that other. So anyway, without giving too much of it away, but you know what? I've been rattling around in the gamefowl community and other breeding communities for more than a decade now. I have never, ever seen a show that talks about, like what to put in a medical kit for chickens, right? Well, nobody ever does this, right? You should just get like an old tackle box and put things in there and you don't open it. Kind of like, you go somewhere and you buy a first aid kit for your car or for your house or something like that.
Yeah.
So, having a chicken first aid kit, right? And unless something expires, and I don't think there's anything that expires in what we're going to talk about, but unless something expires, then, you're set, right?
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Right. Problem is you put it somewhere. If you're like me, getting old, you put it somewhere safe, and then I'll be damned if you can find it when you need it, right? So,
and see, that's why I have a couple of different toolboxes. I used to have a toolbox, and then now it's more like I have a toolbox for watering systems. I have a toolbox for feeders. I have a toolbox for putting coops together. Because that's the thing.
I get it. So, just like your medicine cabinet in the house, that's kind of what we're going to talk about tonight. So,
and the reference you made to the first aid kit's actually kind of funny because a lot of times you'll get a first aid kit and then you'll put it somewhere and you use it and you're like, oh, I need a Band-Aid. I don't know where the Band-Aids are. Here's a first aid kit. Let me get it. And you do that a few times, and then when you actually are somewhere on the road and need something out of that, it's not there anymore because you didn't replace it.
See, I'm different, right? I carry a spare Band-Aid in my wallet, and I bought a first aid kit for the truck, and it still has the cellophane, like the heat shrink wrapper on it, right?
Yep.
It has never been cracked. So
that's how you know that nobody's touched it. Everything that's supposed to be in there is still in there.
I feel like I have this certain level of luck. If I'm overly prepared, like with a first aid kit or something, I never have to use it.
Knock on wood.
Sure as shit, if I didn't have it, I'd have a 3-inch gash in my head or arm or something. And I'd be like, why didn't I get that first aid kit? So I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
You'd be trying to heal up that gash or get it to stop bleeding with your underwear and your belt. Something. I mean,
yeah,
you gotta be.
yeah.
Hey, you gotta be resourceful if you ain't got what you need.
Well, every good redneck carries duct tape. So at the end of the day, I got a McDonald's napkin and a roll of duct tape. So I got a quasi first aid kit, right? But I got something
Half a day.
half a day.
Look, I will say this. I could not tell you how many times I have cut a finger, brown paper bag, and electrical tape.
It works. It ain't good, but it works.
If you use just duct tape, it works, but you need to leave it on there a long time because when you pull it off, it may start bleeding again if you don't.
You got to have a buffer in there.
Yeah, it works best. All right, so yeah, I mean, are we ready to get into it?
Whenever you are,
All
we're good.
Let me move some stuff around here on the screen and pop it up here. Let's see.
All right.
Let me find that tab. And, of course, now Microsoft's going to wait till we go live to tell us that it wants to, wants our opinion, which really it don't. All right. So on this, Jeff put together. I didn't have anything. I'm the AV guy here. Jeff put together this Excel sheet, and he's got some stuff on here that, I told him, I was like, hey man, put together what you would have in your toolkit when you had chickens outside. What was it? What did you keep?
Yeah, and this is not in any specific order, right? And this also comes from 3 decades of working with poultry people, a lot of which don't like using antibiotics for whatever reason, and that's their personal preference, right? But plus, I work in the organic industry a lot, and we can't use antibiotics, so I've kind of been forced outside of that box of normal to find alternative remedies. And honestly, they work as good or better. So, like, you got to have garlic tincture, right? You can make it yourself. We've talked about how to make it. If somebody wants to know the recipe for making this, reach out to us after the show. It's not hard. This is pretty easy. And depending on the size of the critter, whether it's human, where you're going to take about a teaspoon of it every 3 to 4 hours. Chickens, we're only talking about 5 cc's in their drinking water. Just you got to regulate it based on body size, right? If we're working on a horse or a cow, we're talking about using an ounce. So it really all it is you have to use a clear spirit, right? Like vodka. For guys who have a really good moonshiner near them, right? You can get some moonshine. Here's the thing. I got to have it at, it's got to be between 80 and 100 proof.
Yeah, guys, you can't go to the gas station. If you live in one of those states where they sell it in gas stations, that 80 proof, that's not what we're looking for. You want to get the stuff that you can run your car off of.
Look, you can get cheap vodka. I don't care. As long as it's 80 plus proof, 80 to 100. You don't want it too strong. You don't want it too weak. If you end up buying something like Everclear 190, you need to cut that with distilled water. Okay. Distilled water, not tap water. But yeah, so garlic tincture is pretty easy. 1 quart of clear spirit at 80 to 100 proof. You take one entire bulb of garlic, right? You bruise it, you mince it up, you chop it up, you put it in the alcohol, right? You date the bottle.
For dummies like me at one point in time, what do you mean by bruise it up?
All right. So
because I was like, what is this?
All right. So a lot of people smash their garlic to get the skin off. So
Mhm.
if you lay a clove, I grew up calling them toes because we're kind of backwoods up here. But when I got edumacated, you lay it flat on the counter, take your knife, and so it's flat, right? And just kind of put your palm of your hand on there, and you just kind of pop it and crush it. And then you give it a little bit of time, but bruising releases an internal chemical compound or enzyme in garlic known as allicin. This is a real deal, guys. You can go out and Google this anywhere, and you're going to hear the same story. But it releases the allicin, right? And then as out of the flesh of the garlic, and then the alcohol pulls that out of the flesh of the garlic into the liquid, right? Tincturing has been going on for more than 2,000 years, right? So this is not new medicine. This isn't brand new. This isn't, right? So bruise it, chop it up, let it turn. You'll watch it. It turns from that kind of milky white, light cream. It'll turn brown. It'll get more to a caramel color. Throw it in the alcohol. Give it 30 days. All right, let's get really highly technical here. I want to blow somebody's mind, and it's okay, right? Best tinctures are started on a new moon, and they end on the next new moon, right? So you threw your garlic in your alcohol, put the lid back on your alcohol, whatever bottle, 1 quart of alcohol, and not rubbing alcohol, okay? Set it. It doesn't have to be in the dark, but don't set it in direct sunlight. Don't put it someplace where it's too hot, right? Just room temperature. I mean, I like closets.
I was gonna say, if you got kids, you probably want to stick it in your closet because
I want
they're gonna try to
closet.
drink it.
Yeah, closet on a high shelf, right? Makes the most sense. No refrigeration needed. Never needs refrigerated, right? This is going to be shelf stable for as long as you have it, and it is going to be good, until you die, right? So it doesn't go bad unless you get it contaminated with something by poor handling, right? It's not going to go bad. Okay, so pretty simple recipe, new moon to new moon, and at the first signs of a respiratory, any type of infection, okay? Bird's looking a little bit droopy. You're not sure what it is. Let's say you're treating bumblefoot, right? You had to lance open and clean out some bumblefoot. You're not going to put it in the wound, but giving the bird some garlic tincture orally or in its water cup, okay, is a win-win, right? Because you're going to help fight that infection from the inside. Wow,
Man,
that
if you put
bumblefoot.
that stuff in the wound,
Yeah.
you better hold on tight.
Yeah.
That bird's gonna go nuts.
Yeah. So anyway, any onset of infection, I don't care what it is. The way these things work, though, you can't wait till you've got it for a week or a month, right? When you see something coming, like the first day, you got to get on it, right? And you need to have this already in your closet. You need to have this ready to rock and roll. So garlic tincture. So then CEG is a product that's made by Dr. Paul's Laboratory. Yeah, you can go out there and look them up. They're on the web. It's a combination of cayenne, echinacea, and garlic. And actually in it, and it's still a tincture, just like I talked about, right? Those 3 ingredients are put together, soaked out in grain alcohol. Again, antibiotic replacement. Now, when you add the cayenne and the echinacea and the garlic together, okay, they work off of each other. So this works really good on respiratory infections.
Yep.
And I mean, it's outstanding for respiratory type infections. Again, you're only talking like 5 milliliters, 5 cc's, however you want to measure it, whether you're metric or, imperial, in about 8 ounces of water, drinking water, right? So hopefully you're using cups that hold roughly 8 ounces, 8 to 10 ounces, using about 5 ml. Okay, great stuff.
it works on people too.
Yeah, we sell this for all types of livestock. Doesn't really matter. I mean, the big buyer is for dairy cattle,
Yeah.
and they're using it for treating any infection. But a lot of times they're using it for either respiratory or mastitis. So next ingredient is copper sulfate. Right, you should have a pound of copper sulfate stashed away in a really nice, clean, freezer bag, something you can reseal, jar, if you want to use a mason jar, it doesn't matter. So I can use the copper for if you early signs of cocci, early signs of necrotic enteritis. It's, but I don't want to use it first, right? Because I should have rearranged these, because actually giving whole milk will treat cocci and enteritis a whole lot quicker. It was right under the copper sulfate.
Yeah, I scrolled too fast.
Yeah, you got happy fingers on me.
Yeah.
So your first line of defense for treating coccidiosis and necrotic enteritis is whole milk, right? Nobody really understands why this works, but it's been in practice, we know, for at least 100 years. We found an old research article from Chino State University, California, 100 years ago, where they were using, milk for treatment of coccidiosis. So
I actually read a book that was about poultry management that was written in 1889, where I saw a reference to whole milk, and I was like, "Oh, Jeff wasn't kidding. They really have been doing this crap forever."
Yeah. So milk works great. Like the first day you see that weird, that you see the strange dropping. Look, coccidiosis, there's blood in the manure. If you don't see the blood, it ain't cocci. It might be necrotic enteritis. Now, necrotic enteritis gives you that sulfur yellow looking manure. But, early onset milk works for either one of those. Now, if you've let this go full blown in the yard and you've got bad
bloody poop everywhere.
Yeah. If you got bad droppings everywhere, that's when we're going to reach for the copper sulfate. And copper sulfate also gives you a little bit of a worming side effect, right?
Yeah, because it's going to clean them.
Yeah, it's a mild wormer. Copper's been used against insects also for 100 years, right? So using copper sulfate to get rid of insects in the garden, wherever, been a known practice for a long time, right?
And one of the things that I want to point out about all of this stuff, if you don't manage your birds and you don't spend time, and you don't walk around the yard to know if their poop is starting to look a little off, or see the moisture around their beak to know their sinuses are getting a little screwed up. If you're not paying attention like that, you're not going to notice until you've got birds dropping. And that's going to be when it's serious.
I'm a little strange, because if I come to your yard, I'm actually looking at the poop first and the quality of the bird second, right?
The poop will tell you about the quality of the bird.
Yeah, reading the poop, right? When you get to be a professional at understanding what the manure told you about the condition of that bird, when you get to that level, right, you're there, right?
It's a professional poop whisperer.
Oh my God, yeah. But it works, So next on the list. So before we move on, Clark had a question.
Yeah.
I've given copper sulfate as early as like 3 or 4 weeks, and when I see that change in the manure, even at 2 weeks, right? So it depends on the bird when they get coccidiosis. Now, game fowl are most susceptible to coccidiosis between day 20 and day 30. Okay. Um, Whereas, like, Cornish cross meat birds, they're much earlier. They're going to be day 14 to day 21. But like laying hens, heritage breeds, game fowl, they're really the most susceptible to coccidiosis. Between day 21, day 28 is going to be the hot time, right, for them. And so that's when I really want to watch for it. But yeah, as early as week 2, if you think you got something going on, but make sure you got the blood in the manure. Identify whether you got cocci, whether you got necrotic enteritis. Watch the poop. Send me pictures of it if you need to, Clark. I'll tell you what you got going on. There's
Guys, look, he ain't kidding. Like,
nothing like starting your day with a nice close-up picture of chicken shit. Right? I mean,
yeah.
I'm all in. Okay, I'm not hard to get a hold of. So, all right.
All right, let's see. What do we have next?
Vitamin E. Right. So you
Oh,
can
yeah.
you can get vitamin E at any pharmacy, most larger grocery stores, Walmart. Even though I don't shop there, that's my personal preference. You want to get those oil-filled soft gels, right? Those little oval-looking. Um, when I still had the birds in the backyard, if somebody was looking off, a little droopy, little whatever, I could pull one of these out, and then most of the birds I could just hold it in the palm of my hand, and because it's shiny and a little bit yellow, they would eat it. Right? They would just eat it right out of my. I didn't have to do anything. Right? They would just eat it. So I would try that first. Just drop it on top of their feed cup. If they're not too far, drawn down and worn out, just drop it on top of their feed. They're going to take her. If they don't take it, it's pretty simple. You at one end, you just poke it with your pocket knife or a needle or something sharp, and then you squeeze the oil out of it right into their beak. I guess you could shove the whole pill down their beak, but I like to let the bird take it on their own if I can. So anyway, vitamin E is really awesome for supporting the immune system. I mean, it is like the best vitamin for supporting the natural immune system. So it's going to be fighting off infections, disease. It's actually the only thing. It is the only thing I've had positive results with treating Merrick's with. Right, and I'm given 100 IU soft gel every other day per chicken. But I've had really, if you catch the Merrick's early, okay, I've had pretty good luck turning Merrick's around, and keeping a bird alive and back to being functional. It's still living with Merrick's. Okay, we didn't cure anything. What we're doing is we're supporting the bird so it can live with it. Okay, because Merrick's on our types of birds that we're talking about here is actually a tumor, that's growing up along the spinal column. Okay, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, as we go down through the list. B complex. I want to have, again, 100 IU type soft gels, B complex, pill small enough. Now, you need to read the label and make sure that it's got thiamine. Okay. So thiamine is going to be really important. It's actually the B vitamin that fights off things like Rhineck. I want the other B vitamins in there as well. A little bit of riboflavin, a little bit of B12, but I need B1 thiamine in there, and the other B vitamins. So, it helps them manage stress. Okay. So when they're under extreme stress, your B vitamins burn out of the body. They burn off in the liver. So, you can do 100 IU B complex every day if you need to. You got to evaluate the bird. It actually gives them a boost of energy. B vitamins stimulates an appetite. So if they're a little lethargic and they're not eating right, B complex is a really good appetite stimulant. Like I talked about, you can fix wry neck with it if you catch it early enough. Before that the muscles lock and atrophy in position. So jitter juice, if if you want to make your own, make your own. But jitter juice, it's vinegar, molasses, grated ginger, salt, a little bit of Epsom salt, some cayenne pepper in there, liquid cayenne. I like to use Tabasco. Okay, um, excellent for managing stress.
It works.
It works. It provides energy. It also will stimulate an appetite. But the jitter juice is great for heat stress. If you've over conditioned a bird and his muscles are tight, that's a great time to put some in his water. 7 ml in 8 ounces of drinking water per day, for the heat stress or for the muscle repair. Really speeds up healing. So, I can't say the F word here. So after like a really stressful event or injury, I think everybody can understand what I'm talking about.
Yep.
It can pull that bird out of the ditch, right? I mean, it keeps them eating. It gives them a little bit of energy. It's giving them that little bit of extra will to live. Okay. So
Helps them with the recovery.
yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Helps with the recovery. Good stuff. Ain't cheap, but it works. New product you guys haven't even heard of, and it's going to be our all natural wormer. It's going to be the ShowPro Fix It, and it's got things like neem bark in it, black walnut hull powder, garlic, cayenne, and I don't remember what's the. Do you got the label there? What's the other herbs in that thing?
Let's see. Ginger, oregano, copper sulfate, cayenne, direct fed microbials, and DE.
So not only is it the neem, the garlic, and the black walnut and the cayenne are pushing out internal parasites. Okay, but the other herbs are reconditioning the gut and helping it to get back to healthy. With the DFMs and the oregano and things like that. So it's going to be an excellent gut conditioner, and a wormer. And we can't put that on a label, guys. Okay, so unless you pay stupid amounts of money to FDA, EPA, and all those, whatever government agencies, which none of us really like. We cannot. We can tell you on this show that it can be used as a wormer. We cannot put that on a label. Okay. So just understand, go with us on this, right? So it's real deal. So let's see, next on the list, okay, you need a box of latex gloves. So if you are treating a bird that's sick, then we need to, I want you, whenever you're treating birds, so you don't spread it, I want to make sure that you got something on your hands, right? Something you can throw away, right? It's just
that's real important, because a lot of stuff that we treat in chickens can carry over to people, especially if you have a little one around.
Yeah, or even carrying it back to your chickens, and people don't even, you can wash your hands, you can do all kinds of stuff, right? And some of these viruses, like Merrick's that we're talking about, or mycoplasma, or coryza, which is part of the mycoplasma family. All those things, you have no idea what their tolerance is for hand washing and your sanitation. So just, you can get a box of latex gloves anywhere. A blue nitrile, I use the term latex. They don't have, what you guys know what I'm talking about. Get disposable gloves, once wear. Okay. Do your treatment, whatever it is, get rid of them. All right. And don't go back and don't go back. Just actually, if you ever have to treat a bird, you need to do that last on your chore list.
Yeah.
And you don't go back to your birds with the same clothes without taking a shower. Right.
So like I have a pen set up that if I get one that is sick that I need to keep, and I say that because I'll call a bird that gets bumblefoot unless it's one that I need to keep. And I have a pen that I set up just for that. It's a one of the Filipino style drop pens, and I've got a cup set up that goes through the wire, and there's a 2-gallon bucket that goes on top to fill that. And like I can just pick it up, move it around. But I always put that, like most people, the way the wind blows most of the time on your land. So I've got mine put on the far side of the property where when that wind blows past that bird, it goes onto somebody else's property, which is dead tree or not dead trees, but it's forest for about 100 yards. So I have that there. And once I've found a bird that's sick, he goes there. I will not go back on my chicken yard or anything else until number one, the next day, I've had a shower. I'm not wearing the same clothes. And if I found some crap on the ground, I actually I wear either Crocs or boat shoes, like boots that you would wear on the boats, rubber slickers or whatever you want to call them. I'll wear those because I will take them off and set them in a concrete mixing tray, and I'll pour some bleach in there and let it sit overnight. Just because if I do find a bird that's sick, I don't want my other bird sick. And things are highly contagious. Like, for example, we were talking about Merrick's a while ago. A lot of people don't realize that Merrick's is a form of herpes, and it is highly contagious with anything.
Highly contagious.
So take some precautions on your biosecurity stuff.
Yeah. Before we press on, Dwayne
Yeah,
had a public service. Yeah. So
I did want to mention this. Friend of the show, president of North Carolina Game Breeder Association, Tony Manning. He's been sick for a while, and it's really starting to hit him. And if you're a praying person, pray for him, and also pray for his family and his close friends, because they're probably not real far from seeing times that they never thought they would see. So pray for those folks. We're not going to get to see him at the UGBA annual convention this year because even though it's really close to him, he just does not feel like traveling. He said he can't do it. He had plans on coming, but now he just says he can't. So that sucks pretty bad. He's a great guy. He's done a lot for the game fowl world. So I'd appreciate it if whenever you say your prayers, you just get it on there.
Yeah, if you're a praying kind of guy, keep him in your thoughts and prayers. So
now, Jeff, Lewis also asked this question: Will the parasites build up a resistance to the fix-it?
Okay, so here's the thing: it's not like a chemical wormer, and as far as all the science minds that I know that I work with, the different veterinarians and so on. One, because we're coming at this with neem bark, black walnut, cayenne, garlic, and oregano. We're coming at it from multiple different things, active ingredients. They're all coming in there a different way. So they will not, or they should not. Everything that we know says that they cannot build up a resistance to natural wormers. Okay. That's the only way I know how to answer that. Okay. So far, they haven't, right? But we should be good.
Yeah. I mean, is it possible? Maybe. But none of the data that we've seen supports it.
Look, yeah, I mean, I've been working with livestock, poultry and livestock and farmers for, this is my 30th year. Okay. right now. So we have not seen this. And again, the Dr. Paul Detloff that I talked about, Dr. Hugh Kerriman, Dr. Susan Beal, these are all, these are all DVMs, right? They're real licensed, practicing veterinarians, but they support natural. Um, they support both sides of it, but they try to go natural when they can. They all tell me that parasites are not able, parasites and bacteria are not able to adjust when you have a multi-pronged function coming at them, right? When you've got a blend of different active ingredients, because like with the cayenne, you're coming at them with capsaicin. With the garlic, you're coming at them with you're coming at them with the allicin, right? We're coming at them with the copper sulfate. We're coming at them with the active ingredient in neem bark. All right. And black walnut is coming at them with high condensed tannins. Right. So we're coming at them with just, we're bombarding them with all the things in nature that insects don't like. Right. And a parasite is nothing more than an internal insect. Right. It still has the same, kind of body structure or digestive tract. And so it just lives in a different place, lives in the dark and stays in the dark. But so as far as we know, no, it's not going to build up a resistance.
It's almost like taking a rifle to a shotgun fight.
Yeah. Right.
All right. Let's see. We've got.
So scroll up a little bit. Thing. Yeah.
My favorite. Ultra sharp knife.
No, you skipped over the scissors.
Oh, the scissors.
Yeah. Yeah. So you need like you can get them in places that sell. I mean, you can get them Walmart or wherever, but in the cooking section, you'll get these really big scissors for cutting up chicken. Okay, and they're big enough to cut through bone, and a lot of times they'll have a little bit of a serration on them. So you need to have extra large, a nice big. Tin snips will work if you got them, but they're a little bit heavy to carry around. You can get the plastic scissors with the metal blade. They work great, but a nice big pair of scissors.
I tell folks that you need, having poultry, there's 3 pairs of scissors that you need to have. You need to have some poultry shears, like what's made for the kitchen for doing necropsies, things like that. Got to have them. Surgical scissors, those are very, very handy as well. And when all else fails, that pair of Klein electrician scissors can't be beat. Those things are super sharp, and the blade on them just don't give up. I mean, they're designed to cut like copper wire.
Okay.
So
I haven't had a pair of those or a set of those, so I'm going to have to go get me some. But at this point, they don't have to be expensive, but they need to be big enough, to get a man's hand in, and and we're going to use them for cutting through smaller bones in the chicken, right? I carry a Havilon Pyranta knife is what I carry, when I'm deer hunting, but something like that has that ultra sharp scalpel like blade. I like the one with the replaceable blade, so you don't have to worry about sharpening it. Although I do sharpen them. I'm kind of fanatical about sharpening. So, but we want that again. This is part of your necropsy tool. So you got your nitrile gloves, you got your extra large scissors, you got a really sharp knife, and and I've watched guys pull out their pocket knife. Farmers, right, pull out their pocket knife. Now they've been cutting baling twine, they've been cutting wire, they've been using it as a screwdriver. They haven't sharpened it in a few months, right? And they're like, they're trying to go through a chicken, with something that barely could cut warm butter. Okay, so not good. So
a buck 110 has a lot of good uses.
I get it, man. I'm right there.
But those Havalons with the replaceable blades,
Yeah.
or like this is one of my favorites. It's a Milwaukee like fastback or something like that. It has the box cutter blades on it. I like those. This one
See,
also has
to
a
me,
screwdriver on the back.
the box cutter blades to me are not actually sharp enough. They're sharp enough for cutting a box and what they were designed to do. Cutting baling twine, and they do great. But
General purpose. I mean, if you're going to do surgery,
they're
you
not
need
really.
the Havalon.
Yeah. If you want something really sharp, then yeah, you're going to get something like the Avalon. For $29.95.
Or get on Amazon and order some scalpels.
Use it for hunting season, and then use it for hunting season, but make sure you put it back in the box, right? Clean it up and go. I mean, that's what I carry for hunting season. All right. So, everybody needs to have a syringe in there, no needles. I'm not a needle man. Never going to be a needle man. Don't ask me how to inject anything, because it's going to piss me off, and B, I don't have an answer for you. All right. But for oral dosing, if we want an oral dose, like the jitter juice, let's say we want to mix up some vitamin E and some B along with some jitter juice or something like that. You should always have a good, clean, fresh syringe. They're cheap. Okay. So you do need your syringes on hand.
I'll say this: you can get the blunt tip needles, because if you're trying to stick a 20 cc needles or syringe down in a jar to pull anything out, it's not going to be easy. They're fat. So, but if you go to Tractor Supply or Amazon, wherever you order that kind of stuff, and you get like a 2 or 3 inch long blunt needle to be able to draw stuff up in it, it will save you some frustration.
All right.
Or you can pour it out in a 20-ounce bottle cap and draw it up that way.
Yeah, I mean, I never had problem, but that's fine.
Hey, some people, man.
Okay. So, believe it or not, guys, if you need an anti-peck, plain old Vaseline petroleum jelly works as good as anything. Okay. You just dab it on there heavily and on the wound. And when the birds that want to be pecking at it get a beak full of petroleum jelly, it's a great deterrent, and they all quit doing it. So,
like, they really don't like Vaseline.
They can't get it off their beak. Once they've pecked it once, they can't. It is a great deterrent.
I mean, and I've seen them pecking the dirt, like rubbing their face in grass. It's kind of funny. I'm just like, well, I tried to tell you. But yeah, you put a nice coat of that. Number one, the areas that they're picking, it's going to protect them so they don't get bacteria in them, and they're not going to do it again.
They're not going to do it again.
And like Dwayne said, it's safer than styrofoam.
Oh man, we got to quit pissing people off, right? So,
freaking styrofoam, man.
Yeah.
That's all I can say about it. Okay.
I don't know.
There's some folks that swear by it, though.
Yeah. Birdman, I've also heard of worming with lye. This comes from like my grandfather's and my great grandfather's generation, and it was a thing, right? I mean, it was a thing, before we went over into commercial wormers. I don't know how to do it safely, and it makes me nervous, just because I know what the side effects of lye can be. Here's a little side story I've never told you, Carrie, right?
All right.
As a very young, as a kid, right? Somewhere around 4 or 5 years old.
Okay.
You get together at the holidays, right? Christmas party at uncle, whatever. And I was, playing around with the other kids, and an open can of lye fell off of the shelf and landed in my eyes as a 5-year-old kid, right? So fortunately, I had an aunt who was a nurse, and they went right at flushing it just as quick as it happened. And, they got me to the hospital and continued flushing it out. But it burned holes in my retina. Okay. And it was a while before I was seeing straight again. So
that just makes me cringe thinking about it.
well, and every time I hear the word lie, I get that
Flashbacks.
I get that cringe as well. So look, I know that they use it. And I hear guys talking about how to use it. I honestly don't know, and it scares the shit out of me. Okay. I'm just going to be honest with you. I just don't know. Right. So if that's what you want to do, that's okay. But I don't, I just can't go there. Right. Just because it's too touchy, in my opinion. How much is the right amount? Guys use kerosene for worming as well. Right. And that, that also comes from my grandfather's generation. And, did it work? I don't know. Probably. Are there better solutions? Yeah, I think so. I mean, I feel that there's better options. But black walnut hull has been used as a wormer, just as long as lye, before lye and before kerosene were used. So, and neem bark's been used in India, where the neem tree grows, for over 1,000 years for controlling both internal and external parasites. So, just.
And look, here's another one that I've heard a lot of folks do: freaking kerosene.
I know. I mean, I've heard a lot of the older cockers just talk about, giving them an eyedropper full of kerosene, and I cringe. I don't know what it's doing to the bird, and I mean, I get it, right? But look, they're your birds. You do what you got to do. But I'm just saying, there's, and Dwayne said, tobacco, right? As a kid growing up, I mean, it was standard practice for horses primarily, or cows, large animals. But you'd take you'd almost take like a whole pack of Red Man, long leaf chewing tobacco, ball it up and shove it down their throat, right? And it
I've
works.
actually done that to a cow.
And and again, tobacco dust, tobacco products. In fact, you used to be able to go into any garden center and buy tobacco dust, right? And it was kind of like the floor sweepings and what they didn't put into cigarettes or chew, right? They'd chop it up real fine, dry it out, and you could use tobacco dust as insect repellent in your garden or wherever you want to use it. It works. Dwayne, you're right. It works. I don't know the right dose for a chicken. Okay. And I mean, we probably could do the math.
So you don't get like half a plug?
I don't know. I mean, somebody needs to run the experiment, right? I don't know what the right amount is. So I'm not even going to pretend to guess. Yes. Kerosene, lye, tobacco have all been used for, worming livestock, farm animals and livestock. Never heard about it being used for chickens, but I do know that it was used for, goats, sheep, cattle, horses, larger livestock.
Maybe it has to be a ruminant animal, because you
I have no idea.
You stick a tobacco leaf down in a chicken's mouth, and might choke on it crop.
I mean, and I believe that the tobacco works, or the nicotine works, or whatever's in the tobacco.
Yeah.
Because the years that I was a heavy, tobacco smoker, I didn't deal with mosquitoes. I didn't deal with ticks getting on me, right? They could sense it. I never had a tick, lodge in me the entire 30 plus years I smoked cigarettes. So, they'd crawl on my pant leg. They'd crawl on my leg, but they would not attach. So,
okay.
There you go. Dwayne says just dump your spit bottle in the. Just dump your spit bottle.
Hey, when you're out there, got your concrete mixer mixing up your feed for the week.
Yeah.
Just Dump your spitball in there. See what happens.
And Larry said kerosene does work, and he don't know the side effects. So I don't either. We're trying to give you options that don't have side effects. Okay.
Yeah, I mean we're raising
Just
athletes.
we're just trying to give you other options. Okay. It's like there are other things to do out there um, that to us make a little more sense. All right. So the last thing that I had on there was there's a product called Redmond Clay. You can look it up, or you can get the 50-pound bag called Redmond Conditioner. And what it is in Utah, it's volcanic ash that all somehow landed in one concentrated area. And it's a clay particle.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a highly active clay particle. And it works. It's excellent for digestive upset. So, if a bird's got the greens, right, you give them some of that. Mud fever, right? You can take a tablespoon of it, mix it up in a gallon of their drinking water, get it into suspension. It will go into suspension pretty well. Keep it shaken up, right? Serve it in their water. It's excellent for binding mycotoxins. So if you get into a bad batch of feed, where the chickens are they look lethargic, they look droopy, again, gets misdiagnosed as either cocci or something else. Um, but it's an excellent mycotoxin. The stuff is relatively cheap, guys. And so these are the 17 things that I would put in my poultry medical kit. I'm sure there's other things we can add to it, but just from where I come from, these are for sure. You want that sharp blade that we were talking about earlier because you can lance open bumblefoot, you can rinse it out, you can treat it, and there's a good place to mix up a little bit of copper sulfate and then seal it back up. It works pretty good. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
have a burning effect, but it's a great antifungal, antimicrobial. So we use it all the time in other livestock for treating, foot type problems. And then give them either CG or, the garlic tincture orally in their water to support that and fight off the infection. So,
All right, got a question here from Sean. He's got some of the 22% Your Perfect Chick Starter formula,
yeah.
and he said it's worked great. They didn't come out small like they usually do. At what week should I change over to an all flock pellet with the Rapido?
You would switch over. It's probably 6 or 7 weeks old, no longer than 8 weeks. Um, and this is where game fowl guys kind of need to step up some management a little bit more. And Gary, you're doing it with some of your birds, but we need to start weighing them like weekly and track what they should weigh. Like when you feel like you've had the perfect batch of chicks, right? Nothing went wrong. They grew like, little raptors, which they are, little dinosaurs, that whole bit, right? So there's no benchmarks, right? So we don't
Mm-hmm.
know if they're supposed to weigh 1 ounce when they got hatched, 2 ounces at a week, 3 ounces at 2 weeks. There's no every other chicken out there, every other commercial chicken out there, I can point you to a chart that says, okay, this chick should weigh this on this day, right? They've weighed them every day. This is what they weighed hundreds of them every day, and we don't know what these are, right? And like we don't know what a henny's going to weigh. We don't know what a roundhead's going to weigh. We don't know what a hatch is going to weigh as it's growing. Even if we had weekly weights and somebody started charting it, right? So
Yeah,
then, you know,
that data is not out there.
then you got a benchmark, right? So when you feel like you've got everything perfect, right? You're nailing it, right? I mean, nothing can go wrong. Boy, if there was a way of collecting that information, so now 10 years later, you can go back and look at it and see where you're at. You have some comparison data. just to see, if you're doing it right. Right? You can be your own school teacher and grade it out, right? But yeah, I wish. But somewhere between 6 and 8 weeks, you got to kind of use your judge on how well they're feathered, how well they're acting.
Yeah.
What do they weigh? I mean, I could probably get you some numbers of what I think they should weigh, but it's
But like you said, a lot of the data, that we've come up with has been through trial and error.
right.
Because it doesn't exist. It's not
Right.
a Cornish cross. There's a 120-page book on how to raise Cornish cross, daily weights. Everything is in that book. It's a how-to guide.
Yeah.
That don't exist for game fowl.
That book will damn near tell you how many farts that chicken's going to have in a day, how many times it's going to shit in a day, right?
It's pretty detailed.
How long is it going to lay down and take a nap in a day? It'll tell you how much feed it consumed, how much water it consumed, everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've dumped all the money into it. But
yeah, nobody's dumping millions and millions of dollars into game fowl.
I mean, when you think about how many millions of Cornish cross are raised in the U.S. and around the world in a year, the number is unfathomable, right? So there's money in it. Yeah. But okay, I want to close everything that we've talked. I don't want to close it. I want to leave it open for questions. Okay, my number one frustration, not number one, but anyway, one of my big frustrations is, my number one frustration is I'm in the United States in Pennsylvania and my girlfriend's in the Philippines and I only get to see her every 6 months, but that's a personal problem. All right.
We're working on it.
When dealing with chicken people, I get these messages, emails, text messages, whatever, says, man, my chickens are sick. They're dying. What do I do? Well, dude, you didn't give me any symptoms. You gave me one symptom.
Yeah, you told us the problem.
Yeah. Right?
You didn't tell us what's going on.
Look, you get a fresh dead bird. If a bird dies mysteriously and it's not rigor mortis, it hasn't laid there for hours, right? It's still got some body temperature to it. Get them shears out, get that knife out, watch one or two of them YouTube videos on how to do a necropsy. There's plenty of them out there. They're not long. Okay. Open that bird up, take pictures as you go. Now, you're doing this like you did your biology dissection when you were in high school, right? You're going through it slow. You're going through it, it's great if you can lay it out on a big piece of paper. So as you are removing things, you can set it there for pictures later. But like you're cutting up along the side of the breast towards the wing with the scissors, then you're going to peel back the entire breast, okay, and remove it. Okay, so now you can see the lungs, the air sacs, the liver, the heart, everything inside there. Okay, you don't have to know what it's supposed to look like. If you take pictures of the heart and the liver and the spleen and the gallbladder and the intestinal tract, right? There should be no red or pink in the intestinal tract. It should be kind of darkish, kind of a gray. But you can lay that out on your piece of paper and you can open it up from end to end and take a look at what's in there. Okay. But red is a sign of coccidiosis or enteritis. So, look, I mean, I would bet that 90% of the people watching the show have field dressed a deer, have field dressed quail, have field dressed pheasant, field dressed something, right?
Something, yeah.
Okay. It ain't that hard, right? And, you take pictures of everything as you go along, take a video if you want, get it to me or Carrie, so we can see what you're looking at. Like, actually, I just saw somebody posted where they were eating their extra pullets, right, that they didn't need for breeding stock.
Yep,
right?
I saw that.
His family, he's all banged up and his family's taking care of this, right? It's a perfect time to see what things look like normally. Okay, so eating your extra birds is a great idea. Well, I mean, if you've been feeding them right, okay, eating your extra birds is an awesome idea. it allows you to see what the insides are supposed to look like and feel.
Right.
Like a heart should be firm, right? That liver, most people know what liver looks like. It's that dark reddish brown, no off coloring, nothing like that. Just working your way through there. Know what it's supposed to look like. And then when something dies, go through there and look. Now, Merrick's looks like a tumor, like I said earlier, and you'll find it's just a really dark, almost, it has a little bit of red to it, burgundy, but it's almost to the point of black. And they're tumors that'll grow along the spine, right? And they can be anywhere from the tail to all the way up to the neck or head. So just know what you're looking for, and we're here to support you. So if you don't know what you're looking at, we can go through it, right? I've had people put me on video, we'll do like messenger video call, put me there somewhere on a stand, and I talk them through the whole necropsy. Not my favorite thing. I don't really want to do it right before or after lunch, but I can do this, right? It's not.
That's at 9 a.m. Facebook message right there.
Yeah.
That's not the 11.
The other thing that I need to really hammer home is, and if you guys are paying attention, if you're friends with Frank Oscar Bradley, Blazing Pitchfork, he's been posting a lot of stuff about the importance of nutrition for your birds. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you may just blow it off. You may not. But he's posted 4 or 5 different times in the last 6 months about the importance of nutrition. And recently he posted about he doesn't have any antibiotics on his yard. He doesn't have any wormers on his yard, commercial wormers. He has no medications, right? He doesn't treat. Now, he's got enough birds that he can cull sick birds and just get rid of them. But the point being is when you get your nutrition like way up there, I mean, seriously way up there, and I know there's people listening right now that, man, I got my feed as good as it's ever been. Doesn't mean it's right. Doesn't mean it's as good as it can be. Like I really appreciate Sean's comments about, he's using the 22% chick starter and how well it's working for him. Right. So, there's a few guys listening that have stepped up their game. I mean, seriously stepped up their game on nutrition. And, health issues are just not an issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those people that have stepped up to the premium, I mean, like the ultra premium feeds and really gone to the next level, never call me about a sick chicken. Never. I never get a message, text, call, nothing about a sick chicken. Okay. So there you have it.
While we're on that, I had somebody say, well, why spend the money for that? and my response was, I said, well, let me ask you something. Tell me about your regimen now. Man, dude, they have they're regularly worming with pills, copper sulfate in the water, look like blue Kool-Aid. Like they're doing all kinds of stuff. I'm like, think about what all that costs. Add that up, and how often you spend that. There's some folks that spend $100 plus a month just on that crap. I'm like, if you roll that into your feed bill, you're not going to have to do that anymore. So, then where are you? And the guy, he said a few choice words, and then he got back with me a couple of days later, and he's like, you know what? If what you're saying really is true, and I don't have to do all this crap, not only will I save literally about 4.5, 5 hours a month in time, you're right. I'll save a little over $100. That would be the difference. And I was like, welcome to the dark side. You're muted.
Well, some of the shit we say almost sounds too good to be true, like what we just talked about, right? And So getting people over the hump to try it, like Sean, right? Okay. It didn't break the bank to try 22% the perfect chick starter, right? So, feeding chicks is 2 pounds of feed, 3 pounds of feed to a chick, right? It's not, it isn't going to kill you. And um, so, well, there, put Lewis's up, right? It's like he got custom feed made this year. I helped Lewis with his feed formula, right? He's lost the fewest birds to sickness, and he don't treat them. And at that point, they got to go. But so, I can't put enough emphasis on the importance of feed. And guys are like, man, I can't afford your $27 feed or your $30 feed. When you're feeding 30% less, because there ain't one drop of bullshit in that feed. Okay. There ain't no byproducts. There's no fillers. There's nothing in there that's a non-essential nutrient. Okay. Nothing. So you drop back 30% on your feed, your health steps up like Lewis is talking about. Right. So,
Me and Dwayne was having a conversation last week about it. And he said that he had a guy buy a bird from him, and a couple months later, he's like, "Man, they're not doing." I come to your yard and I see how they are, and it's not like that. Like this bird is different. And I said, "Well, what did you say to him?" He said, "I just asked him what was he feeding it," and he told me. And Dwayne says, "Well, you ain't feeding them like I do. You don't feed them like I do, they ain't gonna act like mine do."
yeah. Until, okay, and this is going to sound hard and I'm going to piss somebody off, but this is the God's honest truth. Until you pull your head out of your ass and you at least try it. Okay. Now, look, if you try it, you try one of these ultimate feeds that, we're sitting here talking about. And it does, you do it right. I mean, do a real decent field trial, right? But you do it right. If I'm wrong, you call me up, you send me a message, man, you're so full of shit. I'm going to ask you, okay, how much did you spend for the bag of feed? I'll send you the money. Okay. I'm not going to pay out anybody money if they did it right. I mean, if they actually fed the feed the way they're supposed to, okay, and they're even a half-ass chicken farmer, I'm never going to pay anybody anything. But anyway, it's
It is
just
what it is.
getting people to try it, right? Just getting people to just getting people off of dead center. And you know what? I get it, right? I'm watching a few of the groups out there. You watch more of them than me because they just piss me off. But um, I
Hey,
don't know.
look, I gotta pop this one up here
Yeah,
because good look, every single rooster man I know, if his wife ever finds out what he spends on feed, catches some crap. Now this one right here, this man's wife posted this. She says, "My husband Tucker Scott got a custom feed mix from you, and our birds have never been healthier or more energetic." You're
look,
welcome.
man, that's the only reason. You don't have to buy the feed from Carrie. I mean, if
Mm,
that's your easy button, that's fine, right? You get with me off to the side, and I'll help just like Tucker, or whoever. I mean, I've helped a lot of guys, Lewis, with I either tell you where you can get it, I'll tell you how to make it, I'll give you the damn formula. I'm not hiding anything. You don't have to buy shit. Okay.
mm.
And
Look, here's the thing, guys. I tell people all the time, go to your local feed store, find out what grains you have available. Need to know what grains you got available and where you are. With that information, Jeff can either say, "Hey, look, I work with XYZ meal. Here's where they are. You can get it," or he'll take what you got and send you a formula and take that formula to the mill and they'll give you a price.
Look, I'm in this to make your chickens the best they can be. Okay. That's the sole purpose. That's why I get out of bed in the morning. Okay. You don't have to buy it from Carrie. You don't have to buy it from one of the feed mills I work with. I don't give a rat's ass. Okay. I want you to have better chickens. Okay. So we can make it happen.
Yep.
We can make it happen. But you ain't going to buy it at Tractor Supply on the shelf. I guarantee it. It ain't going to happen.
Well, guys, next week we're both going to the United Game Fowl Breeders Associating annual meeting. This is going to be this coming Saturday in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And Jeff's going to be doing a presentation on nutrition. And there's going to be several other people there that are doing presentations. They got the state veterinarian coming in to talk about biosecurity and stuff. The lady from FB McGinnis is going to be there talking about medicines and things like that. So it's going to be a day full of information. All you got to do to get in and get that information is be a member of UGBA. And if you're not a member of UGBA, there will be a table sitting at the door for you to go ahead and pay your $40 and sign up. And when you join South Carolina there, you'll join South Carolina Game Breeder Association because they're the ones hosting it in that state. You'll join that. You'll also get the quarterly magazine that gets sent out. And, it's a lot. And you'll get, but if you come, you'll get to harass Jeff. He is going to bring his books, Niche Poultry. If you want to get the Bible on feeding and management, grab you one of those. If you're lucky, he'll sign it for you. You take that autograph and that book, put it together, and you'll need $8 to get some nuggets at McDonald's.
Yeah, but if you put the book under your pillow hoping that osmosis is going to work and make you smarter, it don't, right? You actually have to open the damn thing up and read a little bit. So
you will have to read it, yeah.
I'm hoping to see a bunch of you guys in Myrtle Beach, right?
Yep.
And Dwayne hasn't told me what I'm doing on Friday. I don't know that I'm doing anything on Friday. So I am wide open to sit down somewhere, have a chat, talk about chicken feed. As you can tell tonight, that I'm really passionate about bird health and good chicken feed. So,
and Lewis, I empathize with you, man, because I get so much crap about that dust. But I'm gonna tell you, that is magic pixie dust.
Oh God, guys pick out their chicken feed like they pick out a woman, right? It's got to be clean, no dust, got to look good, pretty.
That's why a lot of them are single.
Yeah.
Or miserable.
Yeah.
We'll see y'all next week.
All right. See you.
We would like to take a moment to thank our friends over at ShowPro Farm Supply for their generous sponsorship and support. Whether you're raising heritage poultry, show poultry, game fowl, or other species of livestock, ShowPro offers custom formulated feeds and supplements to help your animals reach their full genetic potential. And they don't stop at livestock. They also carry Alumacoop's movable poultry housing, plus a full line of Fertrell farm and garden products, so your whole homestead gets what it needs to thrive. Check out ShowPro Farm Supply, where nutrition meets know-how.